I like the way that you break things down.
Right, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, and it helps a lot.
I really have to thank you for that, because I wouldn't be where I am now with him if it wasn't for you.
Sick of sacrificing or settling in your romantic life? Welcome to Make Him Wonder with Coach Paula Grooms, where women struggling in real relationships ask the expert. Unscripted, unfiltered, understandable coaching conversations to help passionate women succeed in love.
Hi there, and welcome to Make Him Wonder. I'm your host, Coach Paula, a dating and relationship coach, licensed social worker, and author of the book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. My guest today is 42-year-old Diamond, who is in a relationship with 41-year-old Dan for nearly 4 years. Diamond says that Dan keeps her at arm's length, never buys her anything, won't let her meet his children, and that she's never been to his house. Diamond hopes to get clarity today on what she needs to do and where she needs to go from here with Dan. Welcome, Diamond.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to find out about this. It's a little disturbing for me to read that you've been with him for 4 years and you've never been to his house. I want to hear about your relationship so that I get a clear picture in order to be able to help you. Tell me first, where and how did you meet?
We met online.
Okay. And when you say you met online, how did you first meet in person?
We met at a park.
Did he reach out first to you?
Yes, he did.
And how was it that you met at a park instead of like any other kind of meeting whereby you would meet at a restaurant, something like that? Was it during the pandemic? No, that was 4 years ago. So why a park?
That's where we both decided to meet up at.
Okay. That's not the best start, okay, for any online meeting. But, okay, so you meet at this park, and what happens?
He tried to be all over me, and I stopped him, and I got out.
Okay, he tried to be all over you. You stopped him. What did that tell you upon, just meeting a man and he's all over you?
Yeah, he was probably only looking for sex.
Right. Okay, so what happened that you started seeing him?
He started calling me a lot and wanted to see me.
That first meeting, did you actually have sex?
No, ma'am.
All right, so you end it and you go your separate ways, and then he starts calling you and texting?
Yes.
When did you meet again?
A week later, but he wanted to see me the next day, but I told him no.
Okay, that's good. So you meet him a week later. Where?
A hotel.
My goodness. How come?
We had sex.
So you met to have sex?
Yes.
Did you want to, Diamond?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you a question looking back now, because it was 4 years ago. What do you think you showed him by going and meeting him for sex at a hotel after just meeting him once at a park?
That I was easy.
So you get all of this. You know it, right?
Yes, I know it.
What happened from here, and how is it that you're still together 4 years later when it doesn't sound like this has been what we would put under the umbrella of the normal trajectory of a relationship for 4 years? Meaning that for most people, if you've been together that amount of time, you've met people in each other's lives, you've been to where they live, they've been to where you live, etc., etc. So tell us about that.
I have met his best friend, most of his best friends. He has met my son, but I've never met his children. He met my sister as well.
And you've never been to his house?
Never.
How come?
I don't know.
Have you ever asked?
Yes, I have. Several times.
And what does he say?
He always say he has his kids.
I see. But after 4 years, that's a lame excuse, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you have a far way to go now, right, with him in terms of discovering something. And to me, in hearing this, and I bet everybody who's listening, bells are going off in their head and saying, he's married.
Wow.
What do you make of my saying that?
I thought about it, but he comes over my house. I would think that he wouldn't have a wife where he will leave at 8 o'clock at night and stay with me for 2 to 3 hours, two to three times a week, and then go back home.
Okay, so what does that tell you?
Yeah, he probably do have a wife or somebody else besides me.
Absolutely. Diamond, you're 42. You've probably had your share of lots of experiences, right? With men?
Yes.
Have you been married? Do you have children?
Yes, I was married for 14 years. I have one son.
And how old is he?
He is 13.
Okay. And you bring Dan to your home with your 13-year-old there?
Yes, I have.
Does he know you're having sex?
Yes, he does.
And then he sees this man treating you the way he's treating you?
Yes, he does.
Okay. I would bet he would love to have his mom feel better about herself and know that she's deserving of better.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So somehow you found me, you said, I think before we started, online, on Facebook.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you heard some of my book. You listened to my book on YouTube, I assume?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you found me, my posts, it's obvious that you get something from the material I put out, or you wouldn't be here.
That's correct.
In other words, you get it.
I get it.
Yep. So, me saying to you, he's shouting without words, he's married or he's living with someone, or he certainly has someone else. I bet that validated your belief, first and foremost, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what do you want to know from me?
Do I just need to walk away?
I bet I'm not the only person you've spoken to about this relationship. You probably have other women in your life, right? Friends, mother, sister, whatever, right?
Yes.
What are they telling you?
I deserve better. I shall leave.
But you are in love with Jan?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think you would accept this kind of treatment?
Because I think I don't deserve better, but I do.
Okay, so you're getting close, you're getting warmer. What do you believe the reason is for the why you don't believe you deserve better?
Because I usually get into relationships where men treat me badly.
Okay, but that's not the why. That's the outcome of the why. And until you get to the why, things won't change. And here's what I believe is the why. I bet when you started seeing men in high school, after high school, whatever, you were treated not very well. In other words, you probably haven't had a man who's ever treated you really well.
I have.
You have had a man who's treated you well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, was that your husband?
No, the man I was with last year.
Okay. Tell me about that one.
We were together for 10 months, but he wouldn't commit, but he treated me like a princess.
Okay. When you say he wasn't for you, here you just told me he treated you like a princess, but he wasn't for you. Meaning you didn't have feelings for him?
Oh, I have feelings. He wouldn't commit because he said that he was still in love with his ex-wife.
Okay, but you wanted that one to work?
I did.
I see. Okay, so this is a good thing. So there's something in there that we can work with because you wanted someone who treated you well. Great.
Yes.
Excellent. What about other men in your life?
Other men in my life hurt or abused me or used me.
Does that include men when you were a child?
Men when I was a child were mean to me.
Okay. I want to go back to like your father figure or your actual father when you were just born until about age 7.
My father left when I was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm. What about his treatment of you until that time? Do you know anything about it from anything anyone has told you?
From my knowledge, my father was mean to me in my face when I was taking math class.
Math class?
Yes.
What happened?
When he would help me with my homework and I didn't get it right, he would yell at me.
Is that the only abuse you suffered?
No, he used to pop me if I didn't get the answer correct.
Pat you or slap you?
Slap me.
Okay. Okay. Now, I would assume this is after you were 4 years old, meaning after he left.
Yes.
Okay. Would you say you're a sensitive person?
Yes, I am.
And you're sensitive now at 42. Can you imagine how sensitive you were as a baby?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what happens, and this is speaking to the why of things now for you, is that from birth to age 7, when we live in our subconscious mind, meaning we have no conscious abilities to rationalize in the way we do after 7.
That's correct.
That you took in from everything that you were given about men is that you are not worthy, not lovable, not deserving. Now, intellectually, you know that's not true. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But see, your subconscious doesn't know that. It's been programmed otherwise.
Right.
And this is the issue. This is the why. And what happens for us, and this is every human being, what happens for us is that programming stays with us to after age 7. And what we do is we look to the outer world and other people to reinforce our programming.
I believe that.
Yeah. So I'm glad you have the understanding of that and you get it.
Thank you.
Now you have to set about changing it. Because whether it's Dan or someone else, it's not going to change until you change that.
I understand.
And how we change that programming is a combination of a few things. The first of which is working to do in the outer world what we know intellectually will help change it. But that is secondary to coming to terms with the work that needs to be done. You have to watch a lot of people on YouTube. Fill your mind with this work that is mind work.
Mm-hmm.
Read all about this and start doing the work of it. No one can do this for you. Many people would say, well, do I need therapy? I don't believe that's the best way to approach this. It's certainly not the fastest.
Okay.
Because therapy is talking more about what's going on and the problems and generally doesn't get to the subconscious beliefs. Only you can do this, with the exception of hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy gets to your subconscious mind. It's expensive. It's difficult to find. It's getting more into our society, which I'm so happy about. But it's still hard to find, and it's still expensive. Those of you who listen to me know who I recommend in terms of the Neville Goddard manifesting technique, which actually speaks to what I'm talking about in changing your subconscious beliefs. You have a whole host of work to do, Diamond, to what some psychologists and people in the psychological community would be called up your deserve level. Okay. But intellectually, you deserve more. It's not your intellect that's doing this. You feel it's your feelings keeping you tied to Dan, right?
Right.
It's more than your feelings. It's your subconscious mind. I would bet there are times when you know you should not do things with him and you do them anyway.
That's true.
That's your subconscious. So, for those listening, if you start watching people like, and this is on YouTube, I'm just going to give you a list in no particular order. Dylan James. I think he's at IM_Dylan James. Go back about 7-8 months in his YouTube videos and watch Going Back in Time. Or go all the way back to the start of his YouTube channel and watch Going Forward. It's easier to watch Going Back, though, those of you who know about watching on YouTube. When you just go to somebody's channel, you go to the uploads, go about 6-7 months minimum. I like more like 8 months back, his older stuff. And you will start working on your self-concept through that. Sylvia Nuccio, anywhere, start listening to her videos. And you can do this by listening. You don't have to be watching. It's all listening. You have to fill your mind when you're not working or not actively doing something else where you need to concentrate. Meaning, if you can listen while driving, if you're doing any kind of housework and you can listen, anytime, putting on your makeup, anytime, because you have to start taking out what's in your mind now and reprogramming it consciously so that you get to the subconscious. Let's see, who else? Neya, Neyaah. You can start anywhere with her. Simply Create with L-E-L-L-E. Stephanie Sinclair, The Manifesting House. These are all people who work under the Neville Goddard way of approaching manifesting, which actually starts working on your self-concept. And then you can go a little deeper to reprogramming your subconscious mind. Now, sleep meditations. Huge. Because our subconscious is most open right before we are falling asleep and in sleep. If you can sleep with sleep meditations, I recommend Jessica Heslop, Heslop, in the I Am forms of sleep meditations. Go through her videos, pick out the I Am sleep meditations that speak to you. Now, this may sound like, oh my gosh, woo-woo, lots of work, how will that change anything, etc., etc. You can do this rather quickly if you stick with it and if you get it. And I hear, Diamond, that you will.
I will.
Yeah. I also hear you will get it. And that's really important. If you do that and you commit to it, you commit to doing the work, things will start to change with you and Dan. Before we go, I want to ask you one thing. Have you ever asked him about him being married or other women in his life?
Yes, I have.
And what does he tell you?
He has never been married. He lived with a woman 20 years ago. And last week he was having problems with his baby mother.
Did you ask him if he's living with someone?
Yes, I have.
And what does he say?
He said he does not.
And he has full custody of his children?
He had them at least 4 times a week.
So on the nights that he doesn't have his children, why is it that he cannot stay with you
That's a very good question.
Have you asked him?
I have.
And what does he say?
He has to go to work the next day.
And okay, so the next thing would be, okay, you don't have your children, I'll come stay with you. Has that ever been suggested?
He will never give me his address.
Okay. The level of disrespect to you, Diamond, is very painful to hear. Very painful. And here's the issue. For anyone who follows my stuff and knows that I understand Freud to be such a pioneer in this one aspect. I mean, not that he wasn't a pioneer in many, but in terms of what we are dealing with here is Freud's Madonna whore complex. Now, it's since been kind of, shall we say, upgraded to the Madonna whore dichotomy. And what that means, very simply, is men put us in one of two categories, and that is either a woman to have a relationship with, wife, mother material perhaps, but certainly relationship material, and women just to play with and have fun. And because of the way you started, Dan put you in that category of second category. It's not my word. Don't like the word. And there is no such thing as a Madonna or a whore. We know that as women. But it is fundamental in the male brain to categorize women in this black and white fashion. And to one degree or another, every man does it. It just depends on many factors about him. But he knows he could treat you this way, and so he does. And how you started, right? How you started set you up for that. So what I'm going to hope for you, and I hope you will come back on and do a follow-up episode with us after you start doing this work.
I will.
You start doing this work, you start following me, other people like me. I think you would really enjoy Better Love Movement, if you can find her on Instagram.
Okay.
But immerse yourself in this because it will change your life. And I also want this for you because you have to start showing your son how to value women. That starts with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to see his mom devalued. You don't deserve it. You know that intellectually. Now let's start working on the programming you had that has rendered you feeling subconsciously the way you do. And that's why you're compelled in this type of relationship you know intellectually is terrible, terrible treatment and disrespect.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Immerse yourself in this work. Make it your mission to change it this year. There's no greater mission for any woman. And you do that, and then you will start to feel a change and hopefully begin to get Dan out of your life. To me, it should be black and white. You're done with him. But I know how you are at the moment not necessarily ready to do that. Is that true?
That's true.
So it's step by step. Now, if you're able to do the work and you're able to do it with me, we will talk about that after this podcast because I can help you enormously to do both of these things that I'm talking about. It's how you interact with him and what you do on your own time doing the work that I just outlined. If you can do that, you will change it rapidly and more rapidly. But you can, what I just outlined here, you can start to do it on your own as well, or in lieu of, because not everyone can afford to work with someone like me or do hypnotherapy. You know, it's all according to, you know, what we can do with other life things going on. I get that. So I want to give it to you here how you can at least start, and then we can come back and we can discuss it again on another episode.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any questions about specifics that you do right away with Dan?
What do I need to do next with Dan is my question.
Have you been holding off going online or going back to online dating? Well, I hate to be the one to tell you, but online is the place men go to find dates. And I want you to be prepared to succeed in finding love. No more excuses. And now you don't have to make excuses, because my One Love approach to online dating is a game changer. This affordable go-at-your-pace self-help course gives you what to text and say when he sends a lame hi. It explains how to guide a guy to call to introduce himself, which if you're not doing, you're setting yourself up for failure. I bet you didn't know that. And in the course, you'll find out why it's so important. One Love outlines the 2 things never to include in your photos, and exactly where to go and where not to agree to go on a first meeting. Did you know that going for coffee is a no-no? And dinner is even worse? Surprised? If so, then you've got to get this course so you can set the right tone for a man to be most interested in you should you be interested in him. Then you're in the driver's seat should you want things to go the distance. Because it's only when you set things on the right track from the start that you will have a real shot at long-lasting love from meeting online. The best part? As part of this incredibly affordable course, you get a full coaching intensive experience with me to ask me anything and everything you have questions about, maybe about a special guy you've met. So don't delay one more day. Go to CoachPaulagrooms.com/programs and click on my One Love Self-Help course. That's the online to never-ending love self-help course where you'll get everything you need to know to do online right this time around. That's CoachPaulagrooms.com/programs, and we'll be talking soon. Here's how it would go, but you have to be ready to do this. Because if you're not ready with the follow-up of what you must do, it won't work.
Okay.
Here's how it would go for anyone listening. And this is why working with someone step by step makes it easier, and there's accountability, and you get your questions answered along the way. But here's how it goes. What's going to happen next with him? What's he going to do? He's going to text you or call you? Have you gotten into a routine? He comes every, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. What's the deal?
He usually picks 2 days a week to come over. He texts or call.
So give me, an example of he texts what?
He texts, I want to see you.
And what do you answer?
I say, okay, when?
Okay. What do you think about that answer, given what we just talked about?
That he should be asking to take me out on a date.
But he never has.
Correct.
Okay.
We went on one date.
In 4 years you went on one date.
One date. Yep.
In saying that, what do you think? What do you know?
I think that he doesn't need to take me on a date.
Well, you've shown him he doesn't. We show people how to treat us. So here's how it would go. Something a la this you would write, and he would be shocked. But you would write, I would really like to see you, Dan, but I'm making changes this new year. It's going to be new year, new me. If you'd like to take me out where we have proper dates and work on a real relationship whereby the next date I go to your house, I'm introduced to your children, and we talk about the future. Otherwise, I want to leave things here.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you see yourself doing that?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. Here's the next question, though, and this is more important. What do you think he answers to that?
With resistance?
Would it be something like, where's this coming from?
Yes, I believe he would say that.
Here's what you do. You don't answer. You don't answer. What happens next?
He probably start blowing my phone up.
Right. He would. What happens if you just stop answering?
He will pull up.
Okay. And then what?
Oh, I'm not answering.
And what would you do?
I'm not answering my door.
I love it. Great. Okay. Then he gets mad, right?
Yes.
Has he ever been violent? Do you know what he does when he's angry?
He just yell.
Okay. So you're not afraid.
No.
Good. But you don't open your door. This is what we call being a worthy opponent. Because if you want him to change how he sees you, you must show change. Not say, show. So what I just outlined in your text, you do once. If you do this, and the only time you deign to answer anything is when he says, okay, let's go out. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you answer this. Go out and then what? It's not just going out and he takes you out and then he's going to wrangle his way back to your place, going to have sex and leave.
No, we're not doing it.
Good. Good. And that's why you say, go out, like, and he needs to say something like, let me take you to dinner. Okay?
Yes.
And you could say it that way. You could say dinner and then what? Because you see, that's not taking you to his house and meeting his children and actually making a relationship. That's just taking you out to dinner. You don't need just that. So you have to continue to do this until you get what you want. And the only way to do that with a man like this is to continually say no, not with words, but with action. It's very, very few times you will interact with him. It's mostly him coming towards you with all manner of blowing up your phone with nonsense. And it's not until he's left alone to deal with the anxiety and loss of you that he will actually make some changes.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any hope of change at all. Because, yes, if there's another woman, then this may not work, you see?
Right.
We don't know. But this is also the other thing we do on the flip side, working on your self-concept and then working with what is going to work to get you back on track if there's any hope. And this is through time. This is not going to turn around. You've been with him 4 years, almost, right?
4 years off and on, correct.
So you've broken up other times?
Yes.
Okay, so what does he know about you breaking up with him?
That he can come back.
There you go. See, you get everything intellectually. Everything. This stuff is hard to do because we are compelled otherwise, and we think it's just the feeling for this man, and it's more than that.
Wow.
And that's what you have to get to. I outlined a little of what you do, but if you acquiesce again, you let him back in without getting everything in the way that you want it, you will be right back here in the same position without change.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
No. So I would hope, and we will talk after this, that we can work together to make this happen. And I know that you can. You have all the intellectual understanding that you can take that intellect and work it to your advantage to change this for yourself. And then everything in your outside 3D world will change. So I thank you for doing this today. I think this discussion was a really good one to help many women who are doing similar things have a similar situation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I just actually talked to Diamond off the air. I'm coming back on. What a lovely woman. We had a few laughs. She gets it. She's going to do her best to do the strategies that will lure Dan into seeing her in a very different light. I didn't get to tell her this, but she'll be listening when this airs. Dan really cares for her. Likely loves her. You may think, well, how could that be? His treatment of her is just deplorable. We teach people how to treat us. But it doesn't mean he doesn't love her for what she's giving him. Here's what I know. Him coming back, because they've broken up a number of times, and wanting to see her 2, 3, 4 times a week, if it were simply the sex, likely he would have been gone much sooner. Now, again, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. She will see. She will see. But she will see, actually, by doing what needs to be done. By her stopping everything and not deigning to answer a thing until the right response is proffered. It would look like something like this. Dan is going to eventually, after she stops answering, she won't answer the door. He's going to wait for her outside her home and approach her when she's coming out. Very simple. I've made up my mind. Well, I'll take you to see the kids, and I'll introduce you, and I'll show you my house, and I'll do it right now. This is after a long time of no contact and not answering him. He will do this. She'll say, I appreciate you saying that, but forgive me, but after all this time, I don't believe it, and it's very knee-jerk. If you want me to meet your kids in a proper way and show me your home, we can do that in a date. And I would go there first, meet them, see your home, and then we would go out. But I'm not making any promises. And if you want that, you can text me after you've arranged it properly. Gotta go. She gets in her car, whatever, leaves. That's it. Very simple. And you see if it's done. She would see if it's done. We show men how to treat us. And hopefully she can do that text and start it off. New year, new me. This is what I would need. See how in every episode, every situation is unique? There is kind of an outline of the approach. However, it's not, exactly the same in each situation. And that's what we do when we work together. We discover what's going to be best. But I do know that this two-pronged approach is absolutely the best and fastest way to get what it is that we desire and deserve. And it is absolutely necessary to be doing both. Because if we just do one, meaning, say it could be possible to just do the strategies with men. Most of the time it's not, because the subconscious is absolutely compelling you to do something else. When you feel compelled and overridden by emotion, that's, it's the subconscious. So it's normally not possible to do one without the other. But when we know better, we do better. So I hope you will set about doing both as well. Connect with me here to be on the podcast and be a guest like this. Or if you only want to talk to me privately, we can do that. Either way, very simple and quick and direct. Michelle at CoachPaulagrooms.com. MICHELLE at CoachPaulagrooms.com. In the meantime, get all of the episodes the moment they come out, and more by joining the 80/20 Wonder Club. That's the 8020wonder.club. And remember, first and foremost, with any man in your life, how important it is to make him wonder. I trust you got a lot of good information from today's episode. So go to makehimwonder.com. There you can take my free relationship evaluations. You can learn how to talk to me privately or as a guest on the Make Him Wonder podcast, and how you can join the 80/20 Wonder Club, an exclusive club where you will get episodes you won't find anywhere else. So that you always remember to make your Mr. Right wonder, go right now to makehimwonder.com.